Wow.
All my knights have fled. And
Wait, don't...
Yo, that one guy?
Disaster.
Wow.
All my knights have fled.
That one might make all the difference.
Fled. And
Wait, don't... You gotta pause some of these.
Yeah,
Like, go
it
back.
goes pretty fast. I could download.
What is
this
going
video.
on there?
I don't understand. I don't know.
That looks like one of those, you know, the Mutant Ninja Turtles had those enemies, Bebop and Rocksteady?
Yeah.
It looks like one of the other mutants from the
Yeah,
sewers.
like some
Like,
friend.
what's happening with his lower mouth? What disease is that? I want to get a doctor in here. You should put it up high, more like Weekend Update.
It's like a cleft face.
Put it up here.
Yeah.
Hey. Wait, frame it nicer with the bookshelf, though.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that looks good. Damn, that looks good.
That's how you read.
Mm,
That's how you play something.
that looks fucking good. I don't know what's happening with the guy's glasses. It looks like he has them up. Okay, so that's weird. That guy's just wasted. The other good, in their defense, they've probably been up all night, sitting on like concrete chairs. Or no, they take your picture right when you get in. I don't know. Maybe they were up all night. You know that sometimes they give you a little cheese sandwich, and the only thing you can do with it, because it's inedible, is fold it and put it under your coccyx, your tailbone, to make sitting on that steel chair all night less painful.
I don't know if getting no sleep makes your head huge and your ears pop out and your lips
Well, in
fall
that
down.
guy's case, at least.
Sure. Let's be fair
I like to
here.
play devil's advocate. Now this, wow, he had it rough, dude. Imagine he went to a black school. Blacks are really good at bullying. My glasses don't look straight.
Oh my god. You know who that looks like? This guy from Painkiller Already, the podcast?
But like, if I feel like an art teacher, and these have been submitted to me, and I'm just like, guys, come on! I showed you how to do the eyes. They're halfway in the head, and they're obviously much closer than that. This is an alien. You're not trying. Can you imagine someone would look like that in real life? No. Come on, dude. This is the worst art class I've ever taught. Go back.
Holy, skip my neck. Yeah, this is a phone screen recording, so it's hard to... I'm tempted to download the video so we can scroll through it at our leisure.
Leisure? Well, we're never coming back here.
Nice work out there.
I want to see that guy, though.
Yeah, you're not gonna get him. Okay, guys, come on. That's not what eyebrows look like. You're not done your drawing. And where's the rest of her hair? That's not a woman's hairline. And the nose is a little anti-Semitic, to be honest. This is pretty good, but I don't understand why you used a blue-colored pencil on a 50-year-old. And is that male or female? This one's pretty good.
yeah.
There you go. You're getting it. The eyes are a little close together, but you're getting good at drawing. The hair is very realistic.
Oh.
Oh.
Started good.
Notice the androgyny in all of these. Like, is that my high school principal or my girlfriend? Is that my girlfriend or her dad? Am I in trouble or am I getting laid? Whoa! Spookaloo! This guy,
Oh.
he's sad. I don't like getting arrested. Mwah. His floppy yellow hair. Oh my god, has she been awake for a year? Look at that face.
Alive for 100, awake for 1.
She looks like a Halloween mask. Look at the wrinkles at the top.
If meth was a person.
Dude, how much was that mask? It's amazing. It's usually a giveaway around the eyes because you see the real eyes, but not on this one. You look great. That's if that's a male or a female, there's a potential in there.
Yeah, there's some human in there.
See some little bit inbred, just a smattering of inbred, just a sprinkle of brothers fucking sisters.
Oh.
Wow, they're all hideous.
It looks like if Tim Burton was God and created people.
She
Yeah,
looks
this
like a
is good.
broom fucked a bird. Keep going.
Okay.
This guy's got kind of a positive attitude. Imagine talking to him about Trump. Imagine having to hear his views on economics and his views on his...
Harvesting servos.
This guy's got kind of a positive attitude. Imagine talking to him about Trump. Imagine having to hear his views on economics and his views on his utopia. All right, so you hate Trump and capitalism. Lay out a society for me. What currency do we use? Who handles the heating? Is it natural gas? Everything's solar? What about air conditioners in the summer in Texas? They require quite a bit of power. A solar panel the size of this house will basically charge an iPhone. It's not exactly powering a fridge. What about pool filters? Are they powered by... Oh, there's no pools. Oh, okay. You just swim in the lake. Okay, I got you. Look at this. This could be a pretty girl.
Keep up the momentum, friend.
I bet there's a pretty girl in there somewhere. Assuming that is a chick.
Well, a really good Harry Potter cosplay.
You suck at this, Ryan. Stop. What do you want me to pose for a picture now? He's skeptical. He's dubious of these newfangled cameras they're coming up with. He's not bad, too, though. See, this is what Ann Coulter always says. I'm quoting, women between 18... this is what Ann Coulter always says. I'm quoting, I was just talking to her, so she's going to come up about 100 times today.
Keep up the pressure.
Women between 18 and 30, no matter how ugly they are, if they dress nice and stay slim, they'll be attractive. And that woman is fat in a gross way that she's not meant to be. Some women can handle being a little bigger, but by the folds in her neck, she's clearly meant to be much skinnier. What are you doing? You gonna download it?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, you already downloaded it. Okay, let's get
It'd be
that guy's
easier
spooky.
to-
And we can draw. Bad colored pencil.
Okay, we got some newbies.
Hey, zoom out. You're way too close. For the millionth time.
Yeah, it's an auto zoom.
So zoom out, I said. What are you doing, Ryan?
Once served a drink to a deaf knight. It froze over right in his hand.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Everyone at home has to watch us go through this process. I don't think you're improving it, and I'm not really nuts about you doing shit on the fly like this.
Well, at Kumia's, for instance, we have a little knob like a joystick. Because he's got the bigger TriCaster, and this I have to literally click to resize things. Because remember the old one? It was
All
like...
right, stop talking. Just show the picture, please.
Nice, folks.
That guy looks kind of like Black You.
Wow.
He's got the same shitty nose that you have.
And facial hair.
Maybe he's a Rican. I feel like we're missing someone though. Go up above Black You. That guy's just gross. That woman's just weird. She looks like a spoon. That guy's such a sad little fucking Jew beaver. What's going on with your hair? Are you trying to trick us? Is this a front-facing comb-over? Because no one has ever tried that before. Comb-overs sideways don't work, but they're better than this. Fucking Avatar.
Oh my-
What is that? Looks like a praying mantis. Is that a person? Or a deer?
Some bumps now and then.
And then that's Chubby Neck. That's the Goodyear tire neck.
We're not even halfway through.
That's Michelin Man neck.
Oh.
All right, that's enough.
Better hire a recruit.
Um,
if you can.
Let's start tonight with a brief Hannity history lesson in the so-called norms and constitutional duties surrounding Supreme Court appointments. The media mob will not tell you this. Top Democrats want you to believe it would be improper for President Trump to nominate anyone to replace Justice Ginsburg during a presidential election year. That is a complete, total lie and fabrication. Here are the facts. We'll lay it out just straight up. News you could use that the media mob won't want you to see. Article 2, Section 2 of our Constitution is clear that the President shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers, and judges of the Supreme Court and all other officers of the United States. The U.S. Senate's role is to advise and consent. In other words, their constitutional role, senators vote whether to confirm the president's nominee. There's no exception whatsoever in the Constitution for election years. And since our country's founding, here are the facts. There have been 29 vacancies at the U.S. Supreme Court during a presidential election year. 29. And 29 times before a sitting U.S. president has nominated a replacement in an election year. Well, 19 of those times when this party, the same party as the White House, controlled the House and Senate. In the case of the president and the Senate aligning, 17 out of those 19 judges were confirmed in an election year. When the presidency and the Senate are controlled by opposing parties, there's been 10 examples of that. Well, only 1 out of 10 got confirmed before the election. 2 were confirmed after the election when the president's party won the election. So, simple facts. Duly elected conservatives, they prefer to appoint what we call originalists or constitutionalists. And liberal Democratic presidents, they like to appoint judicial activists, things they'll never get done at the ballot box or legislatively. In fact, the last time a Supreme Court nominee was approved by an opposing party during an election year before the election was in 1888. And that's when then President Grover Cleveland, a Democrat, got 2 nominees approved by a Republican Senate. In other words, 132 years ago. That didn't stop Democrats in 2016 from demanding that the Republican-controlled Senate, again, the other party, vote to confirm Judge Merrick Garland, Obama's pick to replace the late Justice Scalia. Watch this.
The American people deserve a fully staffed Supreme Court of 9.
The president nominates, and then the Senate advises and consents or not, but they go forward with the process.
The American people expect Judge Garland, the president's nominee, to be given a fair hearing and a timely vote in the Senate. The Senate should do their job.
Every day that goes by without a 9th justice is another day the American people's business is not getting done.
When the Constitution is 100% clear, the President of the United States has the right to nominate someone to be a justice of the Supreme Court. Senate's function is to hold hearings and to vote.
Republicans control the Senate. Merrick Garland was never confirmed, as President Obama once famously stated, actually many times said, elections have consequences. That includes a Republican Senate majority. They can come, but they're in the back. And in 2016, the American people put Donald Trump in the White House. In 2018, the GOP increased its majority in the U.S. Senate. Duly elected Republican senators. Let us be clear. As the Constitution prescribes, the president will nominate, the Senate will advise and consent. The current hysteria surrounding precedent is laughable. Democrats, they don't give a rip about precedent. In years past, Democrats could have easily filibustered, well, a judicial appointment. In fact, under George W. Bush, well, guess what? Democratic senators, they broke centuries of precedent. They're the ones that began filibustering judicial nominees with regularity. The Democrats did that. 2003, an attorney, you might remember his name, Miguel Estrada, became the first ever Court of Appeals nominee to be successfully filibustered. He wasn't the last. Harry Reid and company, well, numerous judges were blocked by the Democrats using the filibuster, which had not been used prior to that. And guess what? In 2013, Obama's president, his fellow Democrat, then Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, he broke precedent once again. Not the Republicans, the Democrats. He triggered the so-called nuclear option, which eliminated filibusters for judicial nominees. In other words, they would need cloture, they would need just a simple majority. The Democrats did this. Now, they did it in part so Harry Reid could load the all-important D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals with liberal nominees. They have stacked the court in the past. So now, as they are threatening to do so with the United States Supreme Court, with just 43 days before the election, believe they will do it with the Supreme Court. They mean what they say. And tonight, if Democrats are upset, they have nobody but themselves to blame. And make no mistake, they're very upset. As we speak, they're throwing a collective, major political temper tantrum, as are their friends all over the mob and the media, like this former fake news CNN host having vowed to burn the country to the ground. Jeffrey Toobin, so-called legal expert, probably one of the dumbest lawyers in the country, calling for unrest in the streets. Others like Obama wingman Eric Holder. When they go low, we kick them. Democratic Senator Ed Markey, they're calling for the Democrats to pack and stack the Supreme Court, add as many liberal justices as they can. More Democrats are threatening to end the filibuster altogether, meaning now on legislation, which has never been done before. That's never happened. And some are vowing revenge by adding Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico as new states. Why? Because they figured that'll be 4 more Democratic senators to guarantee them a Democratic Senate in perpetuity. And as Chucky Schumer is now threatening and Pelosi threatening, nothing they're saying is off the table. They're threatening the entire country to upend every precedent we've ever had. They're the only ones that have done it in the past. They opened the door. This is what they're threatening now. Take a look.
We must also commit to using every procedural tool available to us to ensure that we buy ourselves the time necessary.
But once we win the majority, God willing, everything is on the table.
If, in fact, they are successful in placing a justice on the court, I think that what Democrats have to do, assuming that Biden is president and there is a Senate majority for the Democrats, we need to think about court reform. And at a minimum, as part of that reform package, I think additional justices need to be placed on the Supreme Court.
Hey, you got to remember, too, not one Democrat ever spoke out about Hillary's, deleted subpoenaed emails and BleachBit and hammers. They never once complained about her dirty, even the New York Times finally called it Russian disinformation dossier that became the foundation of illegal warrants, premeditated fraud on a FISA court to spy on a presidential candidate, his transition team deep into the presidency of Donald Trump. They ignored all of that. And keep in mind, court packing is an unethical process that would increase the number of justices. Let's bring her from 9 to 13, thereby giving a sitting president an opportunity to control the court. It's a practice that is so controversial, so corrupt, they say they're honoring Justice Ginsburg. She was against it. Take a look.
9 seems to be a good number, and it's been that way for a long time. I have heard that there are some people on the Democratic side who would like to increase the number of judges. I think that was a bad idea when President Franklin Delano Roosevelt tried to pack the court.
But today, the extreme far-left, socialist, radical Democratic Party clearly doesn't agree. In fact, you heard the, real Speaker of the House, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, saying that Ginsburg's death should, quote, radicalize all Democrats. Right on cue, there's Speaker in name only, Nancy Pelosi, seemingly threatening to impeach the president, impeach the Attorney General as a tactic to stall the Supreme Court nomination. Take a look.
You and the House could move to impeach President Trump or Attorney General Barr as a way of stalling and preventing the Senate from acting on this nomination.
Well, we have our options. We have arrows in our quiver that I'm not about to discuss right now.
To be clear, you're not taking any arrows out of your quiver. You're not ruling anything out.
Good morning. Sunday morning. We have a responsibility. We take an oath now.
To be clear, you're not taking any arrows out of your quiver. You're not ruling anything out.
Good morning. Sunday morning. We have a responsibility. We take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Arrows in the quiver. Wow, okay, here we go. Anyway, Nancy Pelosi kind of malfunctions live on camera. The Democratic strategy is clear, it is predictable, and it is dangerous. Democrats, the media mob, their state-run TV across the country, their allies all over, they want to upend our entire system of precedent, the entire thing. They're throwing a massive temper tantrum. They're smearing President Trump. They will absolutely vilify any nominee. This is now a common practice for Democrats. It's actually a term. We call it borking, after what Senate Democrats did to Judge Robert Bork. Similar, disgusting, baseless smear campaigns were conducted against Justice Clarence Thomas. We watched the repulsive statements and actions more recently with Justice Kavanaugh. No matter who the president nominates, no matter who's qualified or how reputable he or she, apparently a she, will be, Democrats will wage a smear, slander, besmirchment campaign, the likes of which this country's never seen. What do they care? They've only dragged the country through the mud for 4 years. They'll claim abortion will be illegal. They'll play on racial issues, mark my words. And now, here's my town hall that we taped earlier today from an airplane hangar in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Now, by the way, we followed all the rules and recommendations of the county in which we're doing this so as to have as many people as they recommended. Small crowd, but an enthusiastic group of people. Obviously, because of all that we've been dealing with COVID-19, we had a lot of ground to cover tonight. Watch this. Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for joining us. We're going to take some audience questions throughout the hour. You're here in Wisconsin. One of the things everybody's looking for, and we'll get into more detail throughout the hour, is the economy. You are going to leave this town hall, and you're going to announce that you're building 20 new ships. You're rebuilding the military. And how many jobs?
Well, it's going to be probably 6,000, 7,000 jobs. Could go up to 10 in Wisconsin alone. And it's a great shipyard that was on hard times, and now it's a very good shipyard, and a lot of people are going to be working, and it's one of the most beautiful ships. It looks like a yacht with a lot of ammunition on it, I will tell you. It's really something, and we'll probably end up with 20 or 25, and these are big ones, beautiful ships, and they do a beautiful job in Wisconsin. So I'm here, it's sort of like a launch. We're starting work, and the contract's all given, and you won it right here, so congratulations, folks.
We as a nation, we've been watching. It was universal agreement that what happened to George Floyd should never happen, can never happen again. Right. And you've been very outspoken about it as well. And there were peaceful protesters, but then there were people rioting. We see anarchy. We see rocks and bottles and bricks and Molotov cocktails thrown at police officers. Police precincts burned to the ground in Seattle, an autonomous zone that still remains. It's changing apparently today, but taken over, including a police precinct. And you're offering all of these states help, New York, Illinois, and Washington. What are they telling you when you offer them help?
Well, first of all, we have arrested, I think almost, but it could be over the number, hundreds of people. We have arrested a lot of people for what they've done. They've created bedlam. They've destroyed very important things. I mean, you're also talking about statues of George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. They'd like to get Jesus, you know that, right? They said, we want to get Jesus.
You had Sean King, the radical,
These are nothing to do with any particular event other than they're troublemakers, they're agitators, and they're anarchists. The big thing they want is they want to really destabilize our country, and we don't let them. So I said to my people, if you've arrested so many, how come we don't know about it? They said, we don't talk about it, sir, we do it. But I said, I think the public should know it. And, we have a Statues Act, a Monument Act, which puts you in jail for 10 years if you do what they've done. So we've got that. We've got all the tapes, because the nice part is it's all on television. Like the character on the horse the other day, he's up there putting on the ropes. He's in trouble on the Andrew Jackson, it's beautiful, right opposite the White House. And you got to remember, Andrew Jackson, the Battle of New Orleans, and so much. He was a very good president. He was a great general. And you can't let that happen. But they're after Abraham Lincoln, and tonight, I guess they're looking at Abraham Lincoln. And that was the Emancipation Proclamation. So you have that, and you're signing Emancipation Proclamation, and you have somebody, I think, that wasn't freed, and he's getting up. It's the position of he's getting up. He's being freed by Abraham Lincoln. And I can see controversy, but I can also see beauty in it. And it was paid for by slaves. I don't know if you know that. It was paid for because they were so grateful to the president. It was paid for that reason. And they want to take it down. And we can take things down too. I can understand certain things being taken down, but they ought to go through a process legally. And then we take it down, in some cases put them in museums or wherever they may go. But these...
You're doing great out there. It's okay. We all hit some bumps now and then. doing great out there. Welcome back. How's it going out there? You're down a minion and up a gold. You're doing great out there. You're good at this. I like where you're going with this.
I'm feeling punchy.
I like where you're going with this. You're doing great out there. Any defeat that doesn't destroy you makes you stronger. Better hire a recruit while you can. Keep up the momentum, friend. Welcome back. How's it going out there? Go ahead and hire one of these recruits. My shield for Argus. Go ahead and hire one of these recruits. You're doing great out there.
These are really rioters, and there are a lot of bad people involved. You know, they talk about protesters, and they're protesters, but there are beyond protesters, too, and we're not going to allow it. So we have many, many people under arrest, and we have some just from the... I said, you got to run it so well. And I just had a meeting with them. They said the problem is no matter how well you run Obamacare, it's a disaster. It's too expensive, premiums are too high, and it doesn't work. So we do want to get rid of it. Chris, we want to get rid of it.
I understand it, sir, but I have to give you roughly equal time. Please let the Vice President talk.
Good.
He has no plan for health care.
Of course we do.
He sends out wishful thinking. He has executive orders that have no power. He hasn't lowered drug costs for anybody. He's been promising a health care plan since he got elected. He has none, like almost everything else he talks about. He does not have a plan.
Well, for a man who doesn't have a plan to get the unemployment rate to less than half.
All right.
To get the average wage growth to more than double or triple, depending on the numbers you use, compared to Barack Obama. To get the black unemployment rate to record low. To get the labor force participation rate going gangbusters to record, not recordized within a singular period. For a guy without a plan, I guess in that case, sign me up for a guy without a plan as opposed to a shitty one.
Yeah, it seems to be working. But in fact, it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out.
No,
and
you
vote.
should speak.
So he has
you
no
have a
position.
microphone, asshat, you demented old circus monkey. Whenever I respond, if I actually provide a clear answer to your question, if I actually take a position like a guy who sacked up and dropped a pair, you know, it might be a problem for me. I'm trying to shift in really unnoticed, kind of like, you know, with a fire drill where people don't know that I haven't gone out single file. I'm no longer with my homeroom class. I just want to sort of wedge myself in there, go unnoticed. If I say whether I support court packing or not, well, you know, Kamala Harris is just going to be really upset, and I don't need any more pegging.
Keep yapping, man.
The people understand, Joe.
They sure
47 years, you've done nothing. They understand.
All right. The second subject is COVID-19.
That
It's an
is
awfully
true.
serious subject,
47.
so
I thought it was 48 years.
He's had a plan
Biden
for
is
47 years.
About it.
We have had more than 7 million cases of coronavirus in the United States, and more than 200,000 people have died. Even after we produce a vaccine, experts say that it could be months or even years before we come back to anything approaching normal.
That's not true.
My question for
Florida's
both of
pretty
you
normal right
is,
now.
based on what you have said.
Yeah, the unemployment rate. That's right.
done
Round
so
2.
far,
Thank you.
Here we go.
Your camera's
said
that
you would
way.
do, starting in 2021. Why should the American people
You
keep
spinning around. We have the worst cameraman.
You look lovely.
Trying to follow her.
The camera work is shoddy.
It's
Thank
so
you.
fast. It's not your
The
fault.
question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Good luck.
Good luck.
200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 5%, 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day.
A huge
are
portion of that's going to be
contracting
attributed
COVID.
directly to
In
New
addition
York,
to
New
that,
Jersey, and
about
by the way,
between 70
Michigan.
and
Michigan had the
50,000 people
worst
there dying.
COVID nursing home policy. And there's some information that you may not have, which we'll go over at the state capitol in Lansing on October 2nd, noon. That's going to be a big one. So Michigan is possibly one of the worst states. But if you eliminate the nursing home policies, really you eliminate a huge portion, a majority of the deaths.
So much better.
He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do?
Ban
He's on
travel,
tape.
which you
He's
call
acknowledging
xenophobic.
He knew
Yeah.
it.
You demented
he
old
said
circus
he
monkey.
didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic.
All right, I got to go through this timeline again
panic.
with the COVID. Okay, let me make sure I get this right, just so I don't forget it, because I don't want to be fact-checked. You guys can keep it up there until I get through the
China
timeline.
should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then?
As late as March, your buddies, de Blasio and Nancy Pelosi, were telling people to go eat dumplings in Chinatown and go to movie theaters. I have this right here, March 2nd, long after he banned travel from China.
Yeah, and we knew a lot more on March 2nd than we did.
And declared it a national emergency.
In order to be able to go out and get people the help they need to keep their businesses open schools that cost a lot of money. You should get out of your
I don't have
bunker
anything
and get
from
out of the
Biden on
sand
COVID.
trap.
He did
and
nothing.
Get
He was
into
completely
the
did nothing other than
Washington
criticize Donald
Oval
Trump.
Office
He
and
did nothing.
That's not what a leader does, by the way. You don't just sit on the sidelines and just
save
throw
lives.
hot shots at a guy. You go, here's what we should have been doing. Lay out a plan. None of them have.
If we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000, and one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened.
China.
They stopped
Drink.
it from going
China,
in,
drink,
but
sorry.
it was China's fault. And by the way,
drink
when you
again.
talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India.
I'm gonna-
They
too
don't
much.
exactly
I'm
give
gonna be
you
a
straight count,
coronavirus
just so
death
you
if he keeps saying
understand.
China.
But if you look at what we've done, I closed it, and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist, and he's xenophobic because you didn't think I should have closed our country. Wait a minute.
It's his 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said, President Trump saved thousands of lives. Many of you Democrat governors said, President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the
Gavin
governor.
Newsom,
really?
and even
Go
back
take
then
a look.
Cuomo said it would be hard to
The
imagine a
governor said I
president
did a
doing
phenomenal
more than
job.
Donald
Most
Trump
of
has
them
in
said
states
that.
with COVID.
In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side
Then he pierced
said
his
that.
nipple.
President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics
Also,
already.
keep in mind they had to replenish the federal stockpile that was depleted by the Obama administration.
Who was in the Vice Obama?
They walked in, and the only thing left was a crumb too small for a mouse.
They give you bad
But
press,
it was a
it's just
giant
fake
storage
news.
unit, though. You
They
can do a
give
lot
you
with
good
that.
press. They give
Good.
you bad
Small
press
frame, though.
because that's the way it is, unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job.
What do I feel
that
like
we
Joe
did.
Biden is
You don't
looking
have
out in the
any
back
blood.
to
You
get
could have
like
never done that
baseball
job.
signs?
I just want to look him in the eye.
the
coach is back there.
I know how to get the job
Well, you didn't do
done.
very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was
A
no
very-
economic recession.
Sir, you made a
There was,
far
there
less
was no
lethal
recession.
disease.
You made a point. Let him answer.
And there was no one. We didn't shut down the economy. This is his
What?
economy.
What? That was
What? He shut down.
your party
The reason
did
it
shut down the
is
economy.
because
It is the blue states that have been shut down. By the way, unemployment in New York is up as high as 40%. We have that as an overlay. You know, we'll have all of this available on the website afterwards, but all of this can be confirmed. The states that have had the most severe lockdowns have had the worst virus spread. Okay, there is no real there's no correlation between lockdowns working, and I don't want to claim the opposite. If you don't have a lockdown, it works. But certainly, if you look at Texas and Florida, it's a third that of states like New York. It's less than half that of states like Michigan. And then if you look at the unemployment, it's double, triple, quadruple in the blue states. They have higher deaths, they have higher mortality, and they have higher unemployment. When he says we didn't shut down the economy, you tried to shut it down now. I get it with swine flu because swine flu wasn't nearly as deadly, but we can't let that go unchecked. Okay, we got to go back to
Johnson, Pfizer.
beady-eyed asshat.
By the way,
Gentlemen, let me move on to
Reg, I think that was a lie.
questions
Can you
about the
fact check
future
that?
because you both have touched
14,000
on
that
two of the questions
Pull
I'm
up
going to ask.
the flu years.
No, I'm pretty sure
Focusing on
swine
the
flu was
future,
somewhere around
President Trump,
14,000.
Was it?
You have
Yeah,
repeatedly,
but it was also tough because they also weren't measuring everyone who had the flu as a swine flu.
it's not a
death as
direct
well,
comparison.
which is what's happening with
the
COVID.
head of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield, said it would be summer before the vaccine would become generally available.
Well, if Reg finds
to
that, you can let us
the
know, but I
public.
think that
You
sounds
said
about
that he was
right.
confused and mistaken. Those were your two words.
Yeah.
But Dr. Slaoui, the head of your Operation Warp Speed, has said exactly the same thing. Are they both wrong?
Well, I've spoken to the companies, and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives. It is a very political thing. I've spoken to
Who
Pfizer.
was it? Can we have
I've
Reg
spoken
Bennett tell me who
to
was it
all
who said
the
they wouldn't
people
trust
that
the
you have to
vaccine
speak to. We
before
have
the election?
Moderna, Johnson & Johnson.
Was it Biden or was it Newsom?
They can go faster than that by a lot.
Yeah, a couple folks.
Become
There were a
very
couple people who said they wouldn't trust the vaccine solely because it would happen before the election. It might have been Kamala Harris, Newsom, or Joe Biden.
Except the drug companies came out and said we will likely have something in
And he didn't
October.
say that. He said it
Maybe
could
not
be there, but it
widely
could also
available.
be much sooner.
Well, you're
I had
supposed
him
to
in my
trust Big
office 2
Pharma
days
when they
ago.
say that we should shut down the economy, but not trust them when it actually happens to be in their wheelhouse in developing drugs.
The answer before.
When it comes to the
November
economy,
1st.
trust the
It could also
pharmacist.
be
When it comes to
after that.
pharmacology, trust Joe Biden.
Delivered right away. We have the military all set up logistically. They're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can do 200,000 a day. They're going to be
This
delivering
is the
them.
same man
It's
who
all
told
set
you
up.
by Easter this would be gone away. By the warm weather, it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle.
Reg said it
By the
was
way, maybe
Kamala
you could
Harris.
inject
It was
some
Kamala
bleach in
Harris.
your arm.
Okay.
That would take care of it. This is the
That
same
was
man.
said sarcastically.
That was
you
him.
know that.
I-
That was said sarcastically.
And so here's the deal. This man is talking about a vaccine. Every serious company is talking about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year, but the distribution of that vaccine
No, that's not true.
will not
That is
occur
not true. There are
sometime
several
beginning or
companies that have
middle of
talked about
next
having a
year. Get it
vaccine
out.
done by
If we
October, or
get
at
the
least an
vaccine
answer by
and
October.
pray God
There are
will.
several that have said third phase trial will be done by October, which means they can give an answer to the American public. These people don't want an answer before October.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Listen, if a new
Pfizer
drug comes,
CEO.
Pfizer CEO. If a new drug comes on the market, right, and it's approved, or it's made it through phase 3 trials, where there's basically just some paperwork to be done and red tape to cut through, which, by the way, is what Operation Warp Speed cuts. They make that announcement. Hey, we have a new autoimmune drug that works. Hey, we have a new cancer treatment that they always keep people updated of that. Of the clinical trial data.
And the biggest criticism is, well, it's not going to be distributed. Well, of course, that's just the way that it works. We're talking about, is there a path to an exit out of the Corona era? And there is. That's when you get the vaccine solved, and then you still have to go through the hurdles of distribution.
Well, they said they wouldn't
but
take a
that's
vaccine
not
if
the
it came
problem.
out. and now they're saying we don't even want an answer before then.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, why don't you want the information before election? Oh, I think I know why, Mr. 9% unemployment.
Work for him. Their job doesn't depend on him.
That's not. Mr.
They're the people. And by the way,
to the scientists that are in charge,
by the way,
they will have the vaccine very soon.
Do you believe for a moment what he's telling you in light of all the lies he's told you about the whole issue relating to COVID? He still hasn't even acknowledged that he knew this was happening.
Do you
knew
mean
how dangerous
lies
it was
like,
gonna be,
oh, don't wear a mask, you need a mask? Do you mean lies like, well, it's not airborne? Oh, wait, it is airborne. What lies do you mean?
2 million are going to die, that lie?
2 million are going to die? Okay, 2 million aren't going to die. What do you mean? Which lies, Joe?
A lot smarter, a lot
There are lies and there is changing information. And the experts have been wrong about everything. Everything as it relates to COVID. The only person more wrong than the scientific experts who the left loves to tout are Democratic governors. If you want to save the most vulnerable among us, old people and the sick, you would do the exact opposite of what states like Michigan and New York are doing. Because guess what? If we keep this never-ending lockdown in quarantine, it's no safer for 80-year-olds 3, 4, 5 months from now. I was saying this, and I almost got banned on YouTube. We got told, you're getting into dangerous territory. I said, why don't we just quarantine sick and old people? And my own doctor, Dr. Choi, Korean. I know you're not a huge fan. You know, you guys have your little...
Love Koreans. I love Koreans.
Oh, that's a novel idea. No, it's a sensible one.
Is handled going forward by whichever of you ends up becoming the next president. I want to quickly go through several of those. Reopenings. Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than President Trump about reopening the economy and schools. Why, sir?
Because he doesn't have a plan. If I were running, I know what the plan is.
What is it?
We've got to provide these businesses.
If I were running,
the
did you say
ability
because
to
he's
have
under the
money
plan,
to be
and then he
able
said
to reopen
because if
with
I were
the
running? Is that what he just said?
As well
If
as
you were
with
running
the
it, if I had a
sanitation they
plan.
need. You have to provide them
Nancy
plastic.
Pelosi.
Well, he's just shush for a minute.
Tell it to Nancy Pelosi.
And
Schumer,
by the
Brian
way,
Chuck.
Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they have a plan. He
Yeah,
won't even
it's
meet with
eating
them.
dim
The
sum in
Republicans
Chinatown.
won't
Come
meet
on
with him. He sits on his golf course.
Sorry, that one was late February. It was de Blasio in March who said go to theaters. But you know what? I mean, tomato, grandpa's dead.
To shut down this country. And I want to keep it open. And we did a great
he just
thing by
admitted
shutting
he
it
shut
down.
it down.
Wait a minute, Joe. Let me shut you down for a second, Joe, just for 1 second. He wants to shut down the country. We just went through it. We had to because we didn't know anything about the disease. Now we found that elderly people with heart problems and diabetes and different problems are very, very vulnerable. We learned a lot. Young children aren't.
And in New York, and worst
even
of all in
younger
Michigan,
people
they
aren't.
send
We
young
learned a
sick
lot.
patients into
But
New
he
York.
wants to shut it down. More people will be hurt by continuing. If you look at Pennsylvania, if you look at certain states that have been shut down, they have Democrat governors all. One of the reasons
By the
they
way,
shut down is
Pennsylvania,
because they want to keep it shut down
and
until
I do
after
appreciate
the
because unlike
election.
Michigan, they were actually accurate in their numbers and did a full accounting. 68% of all their deaths were seniors nursing homes related. 68%. In Canada, it was 80%. Michigan, they said, well, 34%. Guess what? Lie. October 2nd, Lansing State Capitol. It's going to be I hope you have your barn burning shoes. Not flag burning. Not flag burning. No, barn burning.
Leaders touching their masks and touching
Like the
flags.
Patriot.
Are you questioning
No, I think
the
masks are
efficacy
okay.
of
You have to
masks?
understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on.
Prop.
You know,
You did it.
I need
You did it.
Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test.
Brian's
and
like,
you've
can
had
Harris bring out
social
that
distancing,
watermelon and Judge Mallet?
I wear masks when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. I will say,
No, that's just his face.
Go ahead, sir.
Look, the way to open businesses is give them the wherewithal to be able to open.
How?
We provided money. The Congress.
But I was asking you, sir, about masks.
Well,
This is a perfect
masks
example of
make
not
a big
understanding
difference.
the
His
economy.
own
If you
head
think
of
sending out, what
CDC
was it,
said if you just
$1,000? What was the relief? Did it end up being $1,200? $1,200. If you think that supports a business, for example, let's say a business like this with 15 employees, you are out of your tree, sir.
Yeah.
No serious person said the opposite.
Well,
serious.
Bill Gates, huge supporter of the Democratic Party, by the way, said we should lock everything down until there's a vaccine. You won't take the vaccine if it comes out before the election.
about one last subject, because your different approaches has even affected the way that you have campaigned.
What's that? What's going on?
President Trump, you're holding large rallies with crowds packed together.
What are you doing?
Standard outside.
I'm-
You certify agree.
I'm not wearing a cup.
Vice President Biden, you are holding much smaller.
Yeah, go talk with them. Thank you. Yeah.
Weird. People with masks.
What's strange? Nobody shows up to his rally.
All right. In any case, why you holding the big rallies? Why you not? You go first, sir.
Because people want to hear what I have to say. I mean,
What are you
president, and I'll have 25, 35,000 people show up at airports. We use airports.
Are you not
hangars.
worried about
We
the
have a
disease
lot of
issues?
people. Well, so far, we have had no problem whatsoever. It's outside. That's a big difference, according to the experts. And we do them outside. We have tremendous crowds.
Remember them,
as
Joe?
You see.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
sorry, you don't remember
and literally on
anything.
24 hours notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
Drink, and by the way, I'm going to need another beer here soon. Bring back up the drinking game rules for people who don't remember here.
No. Stand back.
I'm
Put on
still
your
looking
mask.
forward
Put on your
to
mask.
anytime you mention
Have you
Hunter
been
Biden.
tested? I'm way far away from those other people. That's what he said. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing in one another.
We've had no negative effect.
No negative effect.
We've had no negative effect.
Can't
And
you
we've
hear
had
the
35,
voices?
40,000 people.
And guess what?
at
Nobody
this
was
rally.
forced to go to his rallies. Nobody went out and rounded them up and made them go.
That's another
They
thing. Don't you love
chose.
Governor Whitmer in Michigan, where we'll be October 2nd? She said, well, yeah, his rallies are a violation by executive order. Who the hell are you?
Right.
You think you get to stop people from exercising their First Amendment right outside
Right.
because of a cough?
Namely, the president.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And it's not like it's an important thing going to hear your leaders speak to you in person, right?
From the shutdown.
Much faster.
In the second quarter, the unemployment rate fell to 8.4% last month. The Federal Reserve says the hit to growth, which is going to be there, is not going to be nearly as big as they had expected.
Well, I wonder why
President
that
Trump, you say we are in a V-shaped recovery.
V-ish.
Vice President Biden, you say it's more of a K-shape.
Biden couldn't even spell
What
V.
difference does that mean
How many
to
lines?
the American people in terms of the economy? President Trump, in this segment, you go first.
So we built the greatest economy in history. We closed it down because of the China plague. When the plague came in, we closed it down, which was very hard psychologically to do. He didn't think we should close it down, and he was wrong. And again, 2 million people would be dead now.
It's a
Instead
Dubai
of-
fight.
Still, 204,000 people is too much. One person is too much. Should have never happened from China. But what happened is we closed it down, and now we're reopening, and we're doing record business. We had 10.4 million people in a 4-month period that we've put back into the workforce. That's a record the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. And he wants to close down he will shut it down again. He will destroy this country. You know, a lot
He
of
did
people
say it,
between
and his entire
drugs
party
and alcohol
supports
and
it. Let's
depression.
be really clear about
When you
that.
start shutting it
Especially,
down, you take a
come
look
on,
at
you
what's
see Joe
happening in
Biden
some of
coming
the
out here
Democrat-run
tonight.
states
This guy
where they
looks
have
like he's at
these
death's
tough
door, and he sounds
shutdowns.
like it
And
too.
I'm telling you,
Kamala
it's
Harris said
because
under a Harris administration. She didn't even correct it. She didn't even have the courtesy of correcting herself. You know, I remember back in the days of, you know what? Can Desi Arnaz be resurrected to give that woman a fat lip? Boom, zoom, send her back to at least her place. The VP, she's on the undercard of that ticket. She said that under her administration, it's just, we're at this point where it is unreal. They want to shut down the economy in perpetuity.
Again.
Michigan and a couple of others. You got to open these states up. It's not fair. You're talking about almost it's like being in prison. And you look at what's going on with divorce. Look at what's going on with alcoholism and drugs. It's a very, very sad thing. And he'll close down the whole country. This guy will close down the whole country and destroy our country. Our country is coming back incredibly well, setting records as it does it. We don't need somebody to come in and say, let's shut it down.
All right. Your 2 minutes, sir. We're now moved to you. As I said, posing the question, the president says it's a V-shaped recovery. You say it's a K-shaped recovery.
Thank you very much.
The difference is millionaires and
Online
billionaires
degree,
like
yeah.
or little COVID crisis have done very well.
It's useful.
Another billionaires have made another $300 billion because of his profligate tax proposal.
Rick, that's the best moment. I'm going to need another
You
beer.
folks at home, you folks living in Scranton and Claymont and all the small towns and
You haven't
working
been to
class towns
Scranton in
America.
40-something
Holy
years.
This guy paid a total of $750 in taxes.
Sir, wait, no. Sir, it's his two. Yeah, I understand. You've agreed to the 2 minutes, so please let him have it.
Do I get my time back? The fact is that he
reclaim
has,
my
in
time.
fact, worked on this in a way that he's going to be the first president of the United States.
The average
to leave
wage
office
growth in the United
having fewer
States
jobs
under Donald
in his
Trump in his 3 years is $5,000. It is more significant than ever in modern American history. That never happened under Barack Obama, and it's even more significant for African Americans. That is something that people need to know. And also, by the way, when we're talking about trade agreements and the economy, Joe Biden supported NAFTA, Joe Biden supported the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and Donald Trump did away with those. And a big part of this that no one ever talks about when they talk about fighting for 15, I was reading up on some of these rules here, is some key points from the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement. It requires 75% of the vehicle's parts be made of from one of those countries, and it requires more vehicle parts and labor take place by workers earning more than $16 an hour. This is what he does.
Yeah.
This is how he helps support the American worker, and you see record wage growth. It affects you. You have paid less in taxes and seen more wage growth. Joe Biden has to lie about that because he knows that Americans are experiencing it.
Yeah.
You know, they were going to give, his administration was going to give the teachers and school students masks. And then they decided, no, couldn't do that because it's not a national emergency. Not a national emergency. They've done nothing to help small businesses.
Don't come back.
Nothing. They're closing. 1 in 6 is now gone. He ought to get on the job and take care of the needs of the American people so we can open safely.
All right, your time is up, sir.
Has he given any specifics?
No, I've not heard.
Wait, hold on. Nope, none.
He should do something.
Let me give you some specifics. The hashtag is Crowder Debate Stream, and it's Crowder Debate Stream. You get $20 off if you join Mud Club at live.crowder.com/Mud Club. We haven't had our stream banned tonight, so that's
Not yet.
But I fully anticipate it.
Why you got to jinx Subwork too hard today?
I'm sorry.
Recover what they've done in New York. People want their places open. They want to get back to their lives. They'll be careful, but they want their schools open. I'm the one that brought back football. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football.
America.
It
He
was
is
me,
actually
and
not wrong.
I'm very happy to do it.
Yeah, but
And
football has become a commie
Very
sport.
happy to do
very
it.
proud of me, and you know
We're going to get back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to
Still,
get to
commies.
your economic plans going forward in a moment. But first, Mr. President,
I never thought I'd live to
as you
see
well
the
know,
day
there's
where
a new
American
report
football
that
is
in
gayer than
2016,
soccer.
The year you were elected president, and 2017,
It's almost all
your first
sports
year
now.
as president, that
Something.
you paid
I can't see
$750 a
It is
year
really-
in
it's hard on
federal
my head.
income
You can-
tax. Each of
I
those
can.
years,
My hair may be
they-
messed up.
they don't know.
Oh,
I know
God,
that
put it
you
on.
pay a lot of other taxes, but I'm asking you the specific question. Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those
Notice
2
the question,
years?
is it true? And I'll come back to this in a second.
millions of dollars of income tax.
Rachel
And
Maddow,
let me
remember she had
just
a
tell
big
you,
reveal
there
that it was
a
in
story in one of the
2005 Donald
papers.
Trump only paid $38 million in taxes? It was like, listen, there's some years where you pay tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and there's some years where you have losses as a business, but there's more to it than that. But that's what he said, is it true? That's an important note on that question.
Go to the Board of Elections. There's a 118-page or so report that says everything I have, every bank I have, I'm totally under-leveraged because the assets are extremely
That's
good.
true.
And I built a great
Biden's
company.
laughing like,
Specific
I
question,
don't
which
know
is-
Let me tell
money.
you.
I understand all of
That's
that.
very-
Under leveraged because the assets are extremely
That's
good,
true.
and I built a great
Biden's
company.
laughing like,
Specific question,
I don't
which
know
is-
money.
I understand all of that.
very
I just take it from other people.
No, Mr. President.
Undeniable.
I'm
He
asking
created at least 100,000 jobs in the private
Will you
sector.
tell us how much
Joe Biden, you've only cost American taxpayers.
in 2016 and 2017?
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
So
yes.
not 750?
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to see
When?
it. But let me just tell you, Chris, let me just tell you
What did he say?
something.
When what?
When will
It
you
was
get
the
to
tax
see
When
it?
did Joe Biden say?
I don't
When?
wanna
In
pay
July?
tax.
In July.
Before
In July,
I came
okay.
here, I was a private developer. I was a private.
Biden say
I don't
when?
wanna
In
pay
July?
you. Chris, let me just tell you
What did he say?
something.
When what?
When
It
will you
was
get
the
to
tax.
see it?
When did Joe Biden say?
I don't
When?
wanna
In
pay
July?
tax.
In July.
In July.
And you'll get to.
You've only
Paid
cost
federal
American
income
taxpayers.
taxes in 2016 and 2017.
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
So
yes.
not 750?
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it.
I'm-
And you'll get to see
When?
it. But let me just tell you, Chris, let me just tell you
What did he say?
something. You get to see it. And you'll get to see
When?
it. But let me just
Inshallah?
tell you, Chris, let me just tell you
What did he say?
something.
When what?
When will
It
you
was
get
the
to
tax.
see
When
it?
did Joe Biden say?
I don't
When?
wanna
In
pay
July?
tax.
In July.
Before
In July,
I came
okay.
here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like every other private person, unless they're stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is.
True.
He passed a tax bill that gave us all these
Anyone here
privileges
trying to
for
pay more in
depreciation
taxes than they
and
owe?
Exactly.
for
Toss a
tax
few $100 million
credits.
into the mix.
By the way,
Same idea.
Joe Biden has an S corp to run Joe Biden stuff through in his, and saves $500,000 by doing that.
Well, to be
Same
fair,
thing that Donald Trump does.
To be fair, much like the presidency, Kamala Harris is the main trustee.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do want to
It's
respond.
reparations.
Look, the tax code that made him
and you
put him in a position that he pays less tax than a school teacher on the money a school
False.
teacher makes.
Okay, here's
is
what I will say.
because
He has no substance here. I realized this. I woke up today, and I had a song in my head, but I was just going, wait a second. We talked about this, about tax codes and Americans and employers and who understands what, how many people have actually had to pay payroll tax versus, Social Security. Okay, income tax versus corporate tax. Then I realized we skipped past. This came from the New York Times, who had the Russia collusion story. And they said they had the taxes, and now they said, well, by the way, it didn't confirm anything with Russia. And then I realized, wait a second. Do we have any confirmation? Do we have any legitimate source? Do we have any corroboration that this is true?
At all?
None. None. So I don't even know why we're addressing it. And I swear to you, might even turn it. I woke up, and this is how it came to me. I had a song, and you know what it was?
No.
I woke up, and in my head, I was like, my head popped off the pillow. And I just watched The Wedding Singer. And it all was bullshit. The New York Times a joke. And when I think of you, Biden, I hope you fucking choke.
Oh, wow.
That was in my head all day.
That was.
And then I spent hours going through
have the
it.
music in your soul.
No confirmation for the story from the New York Times. None. None. And it's made it into a presidential debate. That is the definition of fake news.
Exactly, on every news channel. By the way, the news channel that said that Fox News has no journalistic standards whatsoever, they don't confirm their stories before they go to air.
Right.
The CNN, that's the people that have been pushing this harder than anyone else.
Can someone confirm to me that he got that from the Montreal Planet Hollywood, from the Beetlejuice wardrobe, that tie on Joe Biden?
it would create an additional $1 trillion in economic growth because
Joe
it would
Biden,
be
are you running for president or a Tim Burton barbershop quartet?
The federal government spends $600 billion a year on everything from ships to steel to buildings and the like. And under my proposal, we're going to make sure that every penny of that has to be made by a company.
But respectfully,
in America.
sir, I'm talking about taxes, not spending.
Well, that's twice. By the way, I'm going to eliminate a significant number of the tax. I'm going to make the corporate tax 28%. It shouldn't be 21%. You have 19.
You just said he was going to eliminate taxes, and then he just talked about raising it 7%.
That's twice he's answered a question he didn't ask.
Making billions of dollars.
Why didn't you do it billions of dollars? Because Obama.
Because you, in fact, passed that. That was your tax proposal.
I got it done, and you know what happened? They got it done. Our economy
Got it done.
It's never been.
The economy has lost.
President, Mr. President, let me pick up on that. You would continue your free market approach, lower taxes, more deregulation, correct?
Not lower taxes for American people.
Yes, lower taxes.
Yes, it is.
What was it, Reg? Is it 1,600 or 1,800? The average American paid less in taxes across all brackets.
As president, more jobs were created, 1.5 million more jobs than in the first 3 years of your presidency.
They had the slowest recovery since economic recovery since 1929. It was the slowest recovery. Also, they took over something that was down here. All you had to do is turn on the lights and you pick up a lot. But they had the slowest economic recovery since 1929. Let me tell you about the stock market. When the stock market goes up, that means jobs.
I don't know
it also means
people know what they're hearing.
401ks.
It may not play well, but my God, this is really fun.
President, with your ideas, you want to terminate my taxes. I'll tell you what, you'll lose half of the companies that have poured in here will leave, and plenty of companies that are already here, they'll leave for other places. They will leave, and you will have a depression the likes of which you've never seen.
Look, we inherited the worst recession short of a depression in American history. I was asked to bring it back. We were able to have
I got to say something important here. Any person who's done investing in the last 3 years, invested in real estate, invested in stocks, invested in the economy, has said during the entirety of the Trump presidency, yeah, no doubt the economy came back. That's how the cycle works. But they've been saying every year since Trump was president, well, it's going to go down next year.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely got to be next
Something
quarter.
else that's really telling.
And it's not.
They claim they inherited a bad economy from George Bush, but they never say right now he hasn't said we passed on the economy to Trump. He's saying, oh, the economy is terrible. They go to COVID.
Yeah,
so
they
before
skipped to
COVID,
that.
they tried to say, oh, you know what? Actually, he's only doing well because of our economy, because apparently there's a lag of give or take 4 years, give or take a term.
Yeah, exactly.
But now they're pivoting to, see, look, the economy is bad because of COVID.
Yeah.
Well, hold on a second. What happened? Wasn't it your economy? They know that they can claim no credit. I can tell you this anecdotally. 2 more hires, Bryce and Angela.
Yeah.
Period. As a small business.
And
2
you
more
didn't
hires
fire
because
me,
we can
so that's-
project. Yeah, well, you're just not on the
It
payroll.
was close.
Yeah, you're on thin ice,
We
though.
turned him to volunteer.
What is that email I get? Is that a lie?
Well, yeah, the numbers that you see in your account,
geez.
it's just me doing a screen share with a fake Bank of
The
America.
problem will work itself out.
Mr. Vice President, go ahead.
And so you take a look at what he's actually done. He's done very little.
A lot.
His trade deals are the same way. He talks about these
Fuck
great trade deals.
you!
know, he talks about the art of the deal.
Fuck
China's
you,
made
you bitty
perfected
little
the art of the
asshole! I'm
deal.
sorry!
We have-
This is the biggest contrast between the two administrations. This guy supported NAFTA. This guy supported TPP. Donald Trump scrapped them. How do you think you have the lowest approval rating of middle-class working American voters? You screwed them! And Donald Trump, the Republican, has rewritten the electoral map. It's not even close. You shipped jobs overseas, and you increased taxes on the business owners who were employing those Americans. The guy to your right, my left, on this screen, I assume I don't have the spatial awareness of how it's going on with the Constitution written in the background that Joe Biden likely ignored. The fact is, he knows what has been going on. He has lowered taxes on American businesses and force them to meet prerequisites if they want to have a tax break. This is a good thing, too. He really hasn't had to do all that much as far as tariffs. He's just had to say, hey, listen, you are going to be rewarded if you employ more Americans who make $16 an hour or more for American auto manufacturing. You are going to make more if you bring jobs back here to American shores. We're going to encourage it. And by the way, even China all of a sudden was like, you know, maybe we were wrong. I am now considering removing my pecker from your rear.
Oh, wow. Jeez. 48th.
That was from their prime minister.
Well, the 48th year is the charm.
I thought it was distasteful.
Really is. Yeah.
But that's how their prime ministers talk over there.
Well,
Hey,
you know, sometimes
it's
you gotta say
different
what you gotta say.
President,
everyone
dictator,
is discredited. Matter of fact,
Shorty.
even
Mr.
the people
President,
who
please stop.
testified under oath.
So let me ask you this, Joe.
No, go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to you.
People under,
You got $3.5
he
million from Moscow.
come on.
He testified under oath, and his administration said, "I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I did
really?
it
I'd like to know
honorably."
who they are.
Well, I'll give you the list of the people who testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a good job.
Some people don't do a good
here's
job.
Yeah?
With you,
Go
they
ahead.
say
You
that-
get the, wait a minute. You get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me, this.
Hey, let me just
Oh, look at that. Now you just
down
the bear.
in the mud.
Here's the deal. We want to talk about
it's
families
tough talk.
and ethics. I don't want to do that.
All right.
I mean, his family we could talk about
I don't
all
wanna do
night.
it.
His family's
My
already.
family, my family
already
lost
wrote.
a fortune by coming down and helping
Go
us
ahead.
with
Go ahead,
government.
sir.
And that's such a.
Mr.
That's such a
It's true.
Single one of them
Biden
lost
made his
it.
fortune in.
Final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me, this
Hey, let me just
clown. Excuse me, this.
Hey, let me just
Oh, look at
Wow.
Now you just
Down
the bear.
in the mud.
Here's the deal. We want to talk about families
tough talk.
and ethics. I don't want to do that.
All right.
I mean, his family we could talk about
I don't
all
wanna do
night.
it.
His family's
My
already.
family, my family
already
lost
wrote
a fortune by coming down and helping us with government.
And that's such a. That's such a
True.
Single one of them
Biden
lost
made
it.
his fortune in government. Donald Trump and his family have foregone fortune by working for government. Which, by the way, if they're saying Donald Trump hasn't paid anything in taxes, he sure is shitty at funneling money to his own entities as
Right,
president of the United States, which was the scandal they said we should believe. Is it? Hold on a second. Is it he's such a crappy business person that he's never paid taxes, or he's this cunning, evil genius who's become president so that he can increase the value of his businesses? Because the years you're talking about him not paying taxes, he was president.
You got to pick one.
Sir,
With $1 billion, if you
That
get rid
is
of
you know what, you're-
absolutely not
Stop.
true.
You're doing it.
You're going to
On
have
tape.
True.
Gentlemen, I hate to raise my voice,
He's
but it
on
seems
tape.
to be, why shouldn't I be different than the two of you? So here's the deal.
Good point.
We have 6 segments.
That was
We've
Chris
ended
Wallace
that
raising his
segment.
voice?
We're going to go to the
These
next segment.
kids must walk all over him.
We are going to have
I'm
uninterrupted
surprised
like
there
him.
isn't a light-up sneaker footprint on
I like him.
You can say
I like him.
anything you want. I'm going to ask a question about race, but if you want to answer
Oh,
about something else, go ahead.
Joe
But
Biden, please do mention that you oppose desegregation because you didn't want your children to, quote, grow up in a racial jungle. Confirmed by Snopes. Go type in racial jungle Biden and Snopes. And they really didn't want to confirm that shit.
Well, less than sir, less than
plenty.
No, less than
really
you have.
got to just let
Let's
him answer.
Please continue on. The issue of race. Vice President Biden, you say that President Trump's response
this is going
to the
downhill.
violence in Charlottesville 3 years ago, when he talked about
At least
very
get the
fine
surgery.
people on both sides, was what directly led you to launch this run for president. Oh, yeah, sure. President Trump, you have often said that you believe you have done more for black Americans than any president, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
I want to hear this answer because that old white shark-eyed albino is a real racist.
Deal with the race issues facing this country over the next 4 years. Vice President Biden, you go first.
It's about equity and equality. It's about decency. It's about the Constitution. And we have never walked away from trying to require equity for everyone, equality for the whole.
Why'd you draft the 1994 crime bill, Joe?
We've never accomplished it, but we've never
Hey, Joe,
walked away from
what'd you do with the 1994 crime bill?
It is true.
Why do you oppose desegregation, saying that you didn't want your children to, quote, grow up in a racial jungle, confirmed by Snopes, you racist asshole? I'm willing to bet that if we go into a closet, we'll find a stack of white hoods like it's a returning costume like the Captain of the Incredibles.
The Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed.
Just like Pee Wee Herman's suit.
When he thought, he said there were very
Only it's a white hat with a cone on it and 2 eye slits.
no.
Don't get me started on the flaming crosses.
He did the fine people on both sides argument.
Yeah, he's a reformed
Come
racist.
on.
Reformed racist.
Donald Trump condemned neo-Nazis as opposed to you, Joe Biden, who was one.
hack, man.
There was a peaceful protest in front of the White House.
I don't think Joe Biden's a
What did he
racist.
do?
I think he's an
He came out of his
ignorant
bunker,
asshole.
had the military use tear gas on him so he could walk across to a church and hold up a Bible. And then what happened after that? The bishop of that very church said that it was a disgrace. The general who was with
The
him
bishop, who was a
he-
well-known
all
liberal
everyone
activist.
I'm pretty confident he's just reading headlines from like
Yeah,
Young
he's reading
Turks
headlines from
with no
Slate.
facts.
That's his research. Yeah, his debate partner, his mock debate partner, was an angry pink mohawked lesbian.
Yeah. Who, in fact, you talk about helping
I don't laugh
African
because that's
Americans.
probably true.
1 in 1,000 African Americans has been killed because of the coronavirus.
1 in
And if
1,000?
he doesn't do something
killed
quickly, by the end of the year,
because of it?
1 in 500 will have been killed. 1 in 500 African Americans. This man,
What you talking
this
about?
man
Reg?
is the
Reg.
1 in 500?
This
Is there a
man cares at all.
0.25% mortality rate for black Americans?
I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
don't know.
kind of high.
You have to look at what he talks about. You have to look at what he did, and what he did has been
But
disastrous.
if he's talking about,
for the
it could be, if he's talking about
African-American
black Americans in prison, where he put them because of his
Right.
1994
Well, and
crime
Kamala Harris
bill,
kept them there.
and Kamala Harris kept them there as
it's
free,
like a tag team.
free indentured servitude labor for the
pretty
state,
much.
then I guess he has a point.
Super predators.
That's one for you, Biden.
African Americans.
Super predators.
Super predators, and they've never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
No, sir, it's just
Yeah,
a minute.
Joe,
So
you
did
said that.
and they call you a super predator. And I'm letting people out of jail now that you have treated the African American
Nonviolent drug offenders.
population.
Anyone out there who
community,
thinks that
you've treated the
nonviolent
black
drug offenders
community
shouldn't be locked
about
up,
as
your
bad
choice
as
couldn't be more
anybody in this
clear.
country.
Biden
You
has,
did the
it's been almost his raison d'etre.
If you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time.
That's true.
Because they saw what you did. You
Confirmed.
call them super predators, and you've called them worse than that. Because you look back at your testimony over the years, you've called them a lot worse than that. As far as the church is concerned, and as far as the generals are concerned, we just got the support of 250 military leaders and generals. Total support. Law enforcement, almost every law enforcement group in the United States. I have Florida,
That's
I
really
have
gotta sting
Texas,
because they're big
I
union
have
guys.
Ohio, I have Portland. The sheriff just came out today and he said, I support President Trump.
Does
I
that
don't
count
think
as
you have
evidence?
Any law enforcement. You can't even say
Wait,
the word law
is he saying the
enforcement.
sheriff,
because
the
if you
black
say those
lady of
words,
Portland, or was
you're
that
gonna
the,
lose
uh,
all
must be
of
the
your
second
rights.
was that
sheriff
the
because
police
she-
commissioner?
Sheriff.
And why aren't you saying those words, Joe? Why don't you say the words law enforcement? Because you know what? If they called us in Portland, we would put out that fire in a half an hour, but they won't do it because they're run by radical left Democrats. If you look at Chicago, if you look at any place you want to look, Seattle, They heard we were coming in the following
Absolutely
day,
true.
and they put up their hands, and we got back Seattle. Minneapolis, we got it back, Joe, because we believe in law and order, but you don't. The top 10 cities and just
Whoa,
about
this is
the
bad for
top
Joe when he
40
makes a Jersey
cities
Shore duck face.
are
And he's
looking
run
down.
by
He's
Democrats and in many cases radical left, and they've got you wrapped
Does
around
Joe
their
Biden
finger, Joe,
own lips?
to a point where you don't want to say anything about
They're
law
retracting.
and order. And I'll tell you what, the people of
It's
this
like
country
he had lips, but they were
want
sewn
and
shut
demand
by
law and
Hellraiser.
order, and you're afraid to even say it.
All right. I want to return to the question of race.
Oh, the mention
President
moment
Biden,
right
after
there.
the grand
His
jury in the
scalp
Breonna
moved.
Taylor
Like he was
case
trying to go through
decided
the
not
inventory in his
to
brain for something that he couldn't find.
Return to the
Shut by
Law and
Hellraiser.
order, and you're afraid to even say it.
All right. I want to return to the question of race.
Oh, the mention
President
moment
Biden,
right
after
there.
the grand
His
jury in
scalp
the Breonna
moved.
Taylor
Like he was
case
trying to go through
decided
the
not to
inventory in his
charge any of the
brain for
police
something that he couldn't
with
find.
homicide. You said it raises the question, quote, whether justice could be equally applied
horrible
in
human being.
America. Do you believe that there is a separate but unequal system of justice for blacks
Look, this is
in
what Joe Biden
country?
scalp did.
Yes,
Look,
there's
look.
systemic injustice in this country, in
No, there's not.
education,
Oh,
in
no.
work, and in in law enforcement.
Accountability?
And the way in which it's enforced. But look,
Really?
the vast majority of
Didn't know we had
police
different
officers are good, decent, honorable men and women. They risk their lives every day to take care of us. But there are some bad apples, and when they occur...
Oh, I
when
thought
they
bad
fall,
apples
they
was
have
the
to
worst
be
thing to
held
say.
I thought that was a bad
accountable.
argument. You can't make that
Accountable.
argument. You
They
just
have
said
to be
it's
held
systemic. You
accountable.
can't then
And
go
what I'm
say
gonna
there's a
do
few
as
bad
president of the United
apples
States is
and it's
call
systemic.
a-
It's one or the
a-
other. Pick a lane.
together
Systemic
an entire
is a
group of
bad
people at
tree.
the White House. Well, everything from the civil rights groups,
people
to
give
police
them a
officers,
pass
to
on
police
this.
chiefs, and we're going to work this out. We're going to work this out so we change
No
the way
specifics.
in which we
We're
have
gonna
more
work this out.
transparency.
We're gonna how?
in when
Now,
these things
whoa,
happen.
whoa.
These cops aren't happy
You're
to
asking
see
me
what happened
questions.
to George Floyd.
I
These
Huh?
like
I
it.
shit
But we have
myself.
to have a system
Laugh, you
where
stupid
people are held
bastards.
accountable. And by the way, violence in response is never appropriate. Never appropriate. Peaceful protest is. Violence
He's not
is
going to
never
comment
appropriate.
on
Who's
the things he
responsible for
says.
the violence,
Peaceful
Joe?
protest. When they run through the middle of the town
President Trump-
and burn down your
President Trump,
stores and kill people all
President
over
Trump,
the place,
that is
it's
not
not
doing good
peaceful
stuff.
protest.
President
No,
Trump,
it's
I'm not
not, but
asking-
you say it is.
I did
President
not
Trump,
say
I'd like to continue with the
Yes,
issue
go
of
ahead,
race. I
please.
promise we're going to get to the issue
sorry,
of law and
sorry,
order
sorry.
in a moment. This month, your administration
He didn't comment on the
directed
things he
federal
said.
agencies
Donald
to
Trump
end
has to always,
racial
so it seems like his
sensitivity
idea. Like, we're going to get to that in a second.
training
Right, we will.
that
It's true.
Absolutely. Like, listen, you guys will each have time to answer the questions. Good. That's what I wanted.
And do you believe that there is systemic racism in this country, sir?
No.
I ended it because it's racist. I ended it because a lot of people were complaining that they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane, that it was a radical revolution that was taking place in our military,
Talking about the training,
in our schools,
or, racism.
all over the place, and you know it,
Critical
and
race
so
theory?
does
What-
everybody else.
which, by the way,
And
teaches
he
that
would
every
know.
single white person
Talk
is
about
racist.
racial sensitivity training, sir.
If you were a certain person, you had no status in life. It was sort of a reversal. And if you look at the people, we were paying people hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach very bad ideas and frankly very sick ideas. And really, they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Good job.
We have to go back
That's just
to
a drink
the core
because here,
values
here.
of this country. They were teaching people that our country is a horrible place, it's a racist place, and they were
That is
teaching people
absolutely
to
true.
hate our
You look
country.
at critical race theory
And
and
I'm
black
not gonna
liberation
allow that to
theology. If
happen.
you look at what
Nobody's doing that.
Barack Obama
He's
subscribes
just-
to with Derek
he's
Bell,
a
if you
racist.
look at
He
these
just-
beliefs,
here's the
it is.
deal. I know a lot
This
more
is the
about
idea of
it.
implicit bias.
Let me
It's
finish.
you are racist
The
if you are
fact
white.
is that
Ergo,
there
the United
is
States is a racist
racial
country.
insensitivity. People have to be made aware of what other people feel.
We require more minerals.
like. What
Like you were
what
made
is-
aware.
We require more minerals. 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 We require some more overlords. We require more minerals. Some more overlords. We require more minerals. Our forces are under attack. Spawn more. Our forces are under attack. We require more minerals. Spawn more overlords. Spawn more overlords. Spawn more overlords. The hive cluster is require more minerals. We require more minerals. We require more minerals. We require more minerals. Mineral field depleted. We require more minerals. We require more. We require more minerals. We require mutation complete. We require more minerals. We require more minerals. Our forces are under attack. We require more minerals. Our forces are under attack. We require more minerals. Mineral field depleted. We require more minerals. We require more minerals. Our drones are under attack. We require more minerals.